Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity today to not only just talk before the panel of the commission, but talk to the entire university at large. And before I introduce myself, I would like to really share a fairy tale, a very short one. So there was this big forest that was in fire, and a lot of animals were screaming and they were running out of the forest. The big animals, the elephants, the lions, all of them were screaming and running out of the forest. Then, while on the way, the elephant met a hummingbird, and the hummingbird was going back in the opposite direction to the burning forest. And the elephant asked the hummingbird, "Where are you going? You are too tiny. You will be submerged into the fire." And the hummingbird said, "I am going to pick water into the river, extinguish the fire in the forest." So whatever I'm here today in my political ambition is to extinguish the huge fire that has begotten our Cusa association over the past leadership. We are going to make constitutional reforms and a huge number of changes into the association for the better leadership of Cusa University. I am Adrian Oluoch. I'm a second year student and I study law. So with me is 4 key manifestos that are meant to change the student leadership. And one of the first one I will start to kick off is the constitutional amendment reforms of the Cusa Constitution for creation of special representation and introduction of campuses association. My first manifesto was inspired by the fact that I take law. That was the first one, constitutional reforms. The fact that we have studied constitutional law in our course inspired me generally to take this. This also happened after I took a keen analysis of all the Cusa Constitution, not the Cusa Constitution, but the University Leadership Constitution of universities in Kenya. And I got to get some few sparks that we are missing as an association. And one of them that was really important was special representation. Why is it that each and every group in Cusa is represented from the sports department, from the female residents, from the non-resident, but why don't we have a position for people with special needs? That is very alarming. If our school has made very big efforts to accommodate people with special needs, such as ramps, such as toilets for them, and all those others, why don't we have special representation for such people? They are very important in our community. And another one was that the radical improvement and radical enhancement and technological development and stretching of our university created to a lot of campuses. Why is this that we have numerous number of campuses for Cusa and we do not have campuses association of leadership? So that is one of the things that I'm going to create there, campuses association. We want a student body leadership that represents every campus for the students. On to my second manifesto is the Cusa University Award to empower and recognize excellence in leadership, education, and philanthropy. One of the most surprising things of a university is that we are not just supposed to be creating excellent people. We are supposed to be recognizing excellent people. That is the point. If we are having students who are excelling in philanthropy, in leadership, in education itself, we need to create a platform that allows this excellency to be showcased to each and every person, student, and everyone in Kenya. Another important manifesto that is meant to impact the students directly is one that I really called it Comrade for Comrade Initiative. Under Comrade for Comrade Initiative, we're going to talk about some of the most little things that students want to hear in our roadshows, and students always want to hear whenever we are campaigning for this. But the problem is that it has never been done. Under Comrade for Comrade Initiative, we are going to seek the lowering of the mess prices of food. Because it does not make sense, and it is very illogical, that when I visited University of Nairobi, I was able to have a meal for just 10 shillings. And in Chuka University, I have to part with at least 50 bob for me to do so. Why is it happening like that? I believe that the mess is supposed to be a heaven for needy students who are not able to cater for their meals due to the amount of pocket money they get. So we need to reduce those prices of mess. If someone can provide me with a meal of just 10 shillings, then that means that I'll be spending at least, not more than 1,000 even in a semester. We need to look at that. That is one of the things that we can do to help our needy students, not just even the bursary itself. Another one, under the Comrade for Comrade Initiative, is the receipt cost. I don't know if anyone is aware amongst the panel that Chuka University has the highest prices for a receipt. It is true. Each and every one of us know that. We are paying a hefty amount of prices just to sit for these examinations. There are universities that have made it very affordable for students. We don't have to make it that expensive. What is the logic sense behind it? Are you trying to discourage people so that they could not fail? That is not a way. You do not do it like that. There are students that offer it for just 800 for you to receipt for a paper. So we need to really reduce the prices of that under the Comrade for Comrade Initiative. Another one is upgrading of Cusa bursary. I really had a very enticing statement made by one of the supporters that we had in the roadshow. And he said that, why is it that my hustler fund limit is the same as my bursary that I received from the Cusa? During the last bursary that we disbanded to the school, there were people who even got an amount of 1,000. People got 1,500. It is really alarming. I have a hustler fund of about 1,200. Why is it that my hustler fund and even my Fuliza limit is the same as a bursary? It does not make sense for you people to come and say you are helping needy students to raise fees when we are paying peanuts for them to achieve this. We need to upgrade our Cusa bursary. And the only way we can upgrade it is to turn it into a welfare situation. Let us bring people on board so that we can raise a very huge amount of money for this bursary. We can even upgrade it into an educational cover. In fact, that is what I wanted for us to do, to upgrade the Cusa bursary. Let us take it to an educational cover. An educational cover means that someone pays for your school fees fully. On to my last manifesto, the number 4 amongst the key ones, and it was number 3 in my list, but I sought after to just finish with it last. Consistent and relentless representation of views and interest of students. I believe this is the most important manifesto that I have. Because there is something in leadership, especially in student leadership, that we do not understand. And most of us have failed in it. Is that once we have the notion and the encouragement to get into student leadership, we always have aims that we want to do for the students. We tell them we'll do this for you. But once someone is elected, there is some brainwashing that happens. I would like to call it brainwashing, but I'll keep it in a courteous way, that I'd say that someone sees fit to work for the administration rather to represent the interest of the students. So on this manifesto, if there is any interest of the students, I believe I will champion it without consideration of any impunity that will be forced against me by the administration itself. Because one of the most alarming things that we asked ourselves during the last time, we had, not during the last time, but during this time, we were supposed to be having an online election. Nobody has a problem with online election. In fact, we like it like that. These are technological advancements that I'm championing for in my manifesto. Let us have online election. Yes, because why? It saves on cost. It is very reliable. But the problem is the process in which we enact such kind of things. The process. Even while we were studying law, there is a very big landmark case that has come forth that we use in each and every time we study, and that is the BBI case. In the BBI case, the problem was not amendment of the constitution. The problem was the procedure in which it was carried. So if we are saying that we want online election for students, was there public participation in the first place? Article 256 of the Constitution renders that in each and every amendment, there needs to be public participation. Did students get consulted? A very key amendment in each and every constitution must make sure it is a public initiative. By public initiative does not mean that it needs to be the student leaders. The student leaders is not a public initiative. A public initiative means taking a form to class, addressing the students, we are going to have online elections. Sign this, do this. That is what I'm saying we need to champion for.
Did you by any chance, Mr. Oluoj, found another gap in the current constitution of Cusa other than the special need for you to amend it? Did you?
I did find a lot of gaps in the constitution.
I will be happy if you can face the camera and tell.
Yes, I did find a lot of gaps in the constitution because I sat down with a lot of constitution and to analyze this, since constitutions involving student leadership is not a hefty amount of pages. And one of the gaps I found was that I told you about representation. And another one is that I told you it was campuses association. But what I did not add on, and I'd like to say, is the electoral commission and how we are supposed to conduct things. The reason why I did not want to touch on that is because of the election's integrity. I do not want to touch on certain things that are done in the election in the other constitution that are not done in here. Whenever I come here and you give me a public audience and I touch on that, it would really render the integrity of our election commission at hand.
Oh, thank you, Oluoj. Maybe perhaps you could as well look at the arrangement of the constitution. I went through it as well. So I'm happy that you are a law student. As I hand over the mic to my fellow panelist, you've talked about the BBI process. I don't want to go that way. I'm just remaining on the manifesto, in your first manifesto. More specifically and more importantly, the process that you are going to use as the chairperson, if all you'll be lucky, the process to amend this constitution, because you've seen many laws, not one, not two, failing at the brim of the higher Supreme Courts because how they started. Mr. Oluoj, don't you feel like maybe this process will be crippled or not? Then tell your students how you're going to do this in an efficient way.
Yes, that is a very, very, very nice question you have asked. Because whenever we are creating a constitution, there is always something that we say. A good constitution must be rigid in the sense that it must not allow reckless amendment, and in the sense that it must allow an easy amendment in case there are certain loopholes. So that is true. But I'll keep insisting and I'll tell you this. There are no ripples that are going to be there. Because I tell you, an amendment of the Constitution must originate from the people. On the same BBI case that you have said, the reason why they did not want it, the lawyer at the Supreme Court said that the initiative itself did not derive from the people. The initiative derived from Uhuru Kenyatta. The initiative derived from Raila himself, and it was not an initiative for the people. So whenever Yes. Yes. Yes, I understand what you are saying. But the secretariat used to work on behalf of them. So that is why they were saying it originated from them. I understand quite well what you're saying. So that is what I'm saying right now, that is, if we are amending the constitution, the only people who are to decide is not even us as the student leadership. The only people who are going to decide is the students. If the students are okay with it, then we are fine with it also as the student leadership. So it is a public initiative.
Bearing the fact that public participation or the participation of the students is very, very important in these constitution reforms and amendments, how will you ensure that the Cusa constitution is made accessible and available to the students?
That is a very good question also, much applied. And the current Cusa constitution that we have, is it available to students? It is not available to students.
Yeah, that's
so one of the most important thing about constitutional reforms is that in all languages specified, in all manner, whether written in braille or anything, it is always part of the process of amendment, civic education.
Thank you, Mr. Oluoch. I'll take you to manifesto number 4 according to my numbering. I don't know whether it rhymes on matters comrade to comrade initiative. I would like to hear, and maybe for the benefit of comrades and the interest of the learning and the quality of education the campus is offering. You said and you elaborated something to do with the receipt amount. And this is the same thing that has been used for past regimes as a campaign tool. Many feel like this is the only way to garner votes from the students, and when they enter in office, it is not actualized, Mr. Oluoch. And my worry is, I don't know the exact amount the school is charging for receipts. Are you aware of it, the exact amount?
Everyone is aware of the exact amount the school is charging. You are aware, quite aware.
I'm not aware, Mr. Oluoch. That's why I'm asking. If you are aware, you can say. If you are not aware, we can skip.
Everyone is quite aware. I would not answer it directly, but everyone is quite aware.
So make sure when you resume your office, by any chance, if you are lucky, you understand the amount that they are paying. So how are we going to cultivate the interest or the habit of studying? Because there's some student, let me give you an instance of a student. He or she is paid the entire amount of school fees, Mr. Oluoch. And this student is staying in the room waiting for exams. They are not attending their classes and they expect to pass from nowhere. And maybe we, as the institution, or the institution has made these receipts so affordable. Are we going to make this education or the to strengthenize the education we are offering? Because people, are we not giving them the lazy? Are we not making them lazy in a way, especially as far as academic is concerned, Mr. Oluoch?
Like you have just said it yourself, and I believe you are also crucifying the administration for that. The main motive of making it very expensive is to encourage students to read. That is what you are actually saying. Then that should be never the motive. The main motive for someone to read is to graduate. If someone has failed in a paper, the thing that he should be most concerned with is graduation, not the receipt amount of money. That is the only thing that is propelling the high amounts of money. We need to reduce these prices. And I'm telling you, that is not a logical way or a reason for you to put high cost for the receipts.
So, Mr. Oluoch, I'm happy that you are answering. Is there any problem of getting a D or a lower class as far as you graduate?
Does someone, let us stick to the manifesto and the question in the first place.
I'm asking on this something that you said, the important thing is just graduating.
Of course, everyone has their own ambition. I would like to have a first class because I would like to get a scholarship. Yes, and everyone has their own intellectual capacity, maybe in education. So we are not the same. That is why I take a certain course, another person takes a certain course, and we got different grades. So it is good that we encourage our students to read and pass. That is okay. But at the end of the day, not everyone is passing. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Roach, kindly tell us how you would improve campuses association, that the ones that you've mentioned in your constitutional reforms. How exactly will you do that?
Much obliged. So let me, before, I might be saying campuses association, and most of us don't understand what campuses association is. A campus like Chuka University has a campus in Chogoria, has a campus in Nairobi, has a campus in Embu, and other campuses. So the problem is that we always need a leadership that connects these campuses, and that has been done gratefully after the amendment of the University of Nairobi Constitution to create such positions. So we need a student leadership of campuses association so that we can connect each and every campuses. So whatever we are going to be having is a leadership that is looking for the affairs of the whole campuses as a whole. So that if we are having events and it's supposed to include each and everyone from Chuka University, we are making sure that each and every campuses are participating. That is the main goal of campuses association. And it has been really created and it has been tested by the University of Nairobi, whereby they had to elect the first leadership for all the campuses association of University of Nairobi. So we are going to create the same because Chuka University has a lot of campuses apart from the main campuses. And I am looking forward even to be part of the campuses association.
Thank you, Mr. Oluoch, and I'm very happy that we are still keeping our time intact. And according to my numbering, your manifesto number 5, student views, something to do with the student-to-student views. Am I correct? Yeah, on something to do with student-student. And you said something to do that the past regime, I'm not really sure about it, they have been or not serving not really fully the interest of Comrade. I believe, or I don't know how you are going to be different, Mr. Oluoch, that we have the administration and we have students on the other side. Who are you going to work for?
Yeah, when I speak and I say I'm going to be championing for the interest of the student, most people think that it is a rebel for the students. We need to understand that if you are a leader, you are not a rebel. You are a bridge between the administration and the students. But the interests of the student must always come at hand with the understanding of the administration. And you can say that, how different am I for this to happen? I'll tell you, there is one philosopher who said that leadership is character. That is the main thing. And I believe I know myself and I know my character. And a lot of members whom have participated in certain associations that I have led know my character. I am the type of person, if something is wrong and is something that is a burden to the students and the students want it fixed, there is no day you can pay me so that I can do anything illegal or maybe not represent them fully. No, the interest of the students will always come first. And I'll tell you the truth, without fear of contradiction, when I'm elected in office, the interest of the student must come first. And by that, I am a different character from the previous regimes.
On the issue of upgrading Cusa bursaries and bursaries in general, there has been a debate on privatization of universities. So in your capacity as the president of, or the chairman of Cusa, how will you ensure that this issue of privatization of universities comes to an end, because it's a threatening issue, especially to students who depend on public universities and the help that they get from HELB and from the government?
You know, why are you saying that privatization of universities is a threat?
It is a threat because if the universities become private, then it means a majority of our students in the country will not be able to access university education.
Okay, I'll help you. Let me help you on that. Kenya is a country that is forging towards an economic system that we call capitalism. Capitalism is the biggest driving force of economy in the world. That is why we are trying to fight or trying to put in place, not we, but different private sectors are trying to put certain government entities that were there to be privatized. That is why you today, you would prefer to go to a private hospital rather than go to a public hospital. There is a reason for that. So whatever the changes the government was trying to make to privatize certain institutions, including universities, is because of how they are managed. Private institutions are managed better. If you visit one of them, it is true. And even we were ranking universities, they had the highest quality of education. The reason why we wanted to privatize universities is the way they are managed. The notion of having a public universities has created the poorest management ever and the biggest corruption entities for Kenya. That is the reason why the government is fighting for certain institutions to be privatized. And you should not be really complaining about students paying fees or increment of fees, because you should understand, according to the Universities Act, universities are always regulated by the government, whether it is private or public. So whenever we privatize this institution, for them to raise fees, they have to consult with the government. So it is always regulated.
Thank you, Mr. Luch. Mr. Luch, if a proposal is brought to your desk as the president of Cusa, that Chuka University is to be privatized, can you support it?
You know very well, that is a decision that does not lie in my hand.
That is a collection of views. Any member of Chuka University, if it is brought, that is every person, every student is involved when we are collecting views. I believe you've done research on data collection methods. You cannot run away from this, and you're the most and the utmost president. This is a president of the university. You cannot run away from that kind of a proposal. They must involve you in one way or the other. So can you support a proposal brought in Chuka that we want to make this university a private entity?
I believe you understand the real meaning of a leader. If you are coming to me, then you should ask me. They will not ask me a closed question that do you want it or not.
That's why I have not told you it is a yes or no. I have told you it is a yes or a no. It is not a closed. You have all the answers.
That is why I'm saying, if you come to me and ask me right now, do you want our universities to be privatized?
Do you want Chuka University to be privatized by any chance?
I have not taken any consideration to look at the benefits of being privatized or the disadvantages. That is something that I have to sit down first.
You said you believe in private entities. You've even, Mr. Oluch, given an
I'd like to just help you on that.
Let me finish, Mr. Oluch. You've even given an example of hospitals. You've said that hospitals, I don't know who you are referring to, but I believe Kenyans prefer private hospitals than public hospitals. Let me make this as a good example. That are these people managing these private entities not the same people by any chance managing public entities? And where are we going wrong? Maybe I believe one day Mr. Oluch will be a national leader. What will you do best to ensure that private entities are not performing much higher than the public ones? What can you do, Mr. Oluch, maybe to save the country or the university under your leadership?
It is really quite clear that private entities or private sectors are managed well. It is because of the notion of profit that drives everything. The reason why someone in a private hospital would never miss to work is because the owner of the hospital himself is always profit driven. He would always make sure that this person shows up to work. He would always make sure that this person is not ruining his relationship with the customers that might sabotage the hospital himself. That is what drives private sectors. That is why I'm saying, if universities are privatized, the notion of profit will come in. But the problem with public sectors, the notion of profit is not always driven. It is the notion of providing public services. And whatever you've asked, that what would I do so that we can make public sectors have good management? Privatization is one of the solutions. One, that the government is providing for us. It's true. But we need to make certain resolutions on the management. People need to be serious on the people who are given the responsibility to outlook the management.
How are you going to install this seriousness, Mr. Oluj? Maybe
I'm not
step by step.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
Yes,
I'm not the one with the responsibility to do that. In fact, you're putting a rock on my head.
Assume that this is Cusa as an organization, yes, and some of your members dragging you behind in delivering the promises you made to comrades, instilling seriousness to them. Maybe it's a chair, the vice, is maybe academic director. Maybe they're dragging you behind. How are you going to instill seriousness in this kind of people?
You know, when you're talking about instilling seriousness, is that you're talking, they need to know the importance of whatever they put themselves in, especially the leadership. So you need to just make them accountable for whatever they had. If you are given a responsibility to deliver certain things to the students, that it does not happen, and certain amount of money is lost or something happens, then accountability is what needs to be put in place. You just need to be accountable. That is one of the best ways to instill seriousness, and that is what is being used by the government today in fighting corruption. Where is the money that got lost? If you don't have the money, let's go to court. And if you were found to misappropriate the funds, then you'd be jailed or something. So there is certain ways that we can instill seriousness, that I'm saying. So that is what public institutions just needs to do. We need a way to overlook these people and make them accountable for their actions.
I believe also ability, and I'm very happy you've mentioned something to do with money, Mr. Oluj. Let us create this situational Mr. Oluj, chairperson of Cusa, and money, because you've mentioned money, and miscalculation occurs in your organization, that is Cusa. And I believe you've went through chapter 6 of the Constitution, that is integrity and leadership. This money is not adding up to the correct amount that is supposed to add. If let's assume it is a million, and you're missing almost 50,000 to reach that, and people maybe contributed that, you already have that amount. And you don't want people, especially students, to understand that you have a miscalculation somewhere. Mr. Oluj, will you dig into the pocket to refund the money secretly, or you will go and explain to people how you actually mishandling? Because if the money is supposed to add up to the exact amount and it is not adding up, when you calculate it is supposed to add up and it is not adding up, will you dig deep into a pocket to refund, or you will go to the student, that is your fellow students or your fellow leaders, maybe directors, treasurers, and explain to them, okay, calculate leadership, integrity is at stake, and of course being keen and responsible is at stake.
You know, the problem is that you're asking me a question, then you're answering in two ways that are very wrong. If you're saying funds have been misappropriated, why should I go explaining to students or telling someone to refund the money back? If funds have been misappropriated, we have certain leeways and certain procedures that are provided, that are guided by the Constitution itself. Any funds that are misappropriated by any public institution owned by the government is a matter that is taken forth by the Director of Criminal Investigations or the Ethnics and Anti-Corruption Commission. That is not a matter to discuss and tell students that, I don't know, this happened and we are going to refund you this money. No. That is a matter that any person who was involved in that matter must be held accountable, as I have said it, including me, of course.
Assuming that you become the chairperson, what are the aims and objectives of Cusa?
That is very good. The aims and objectives of Cusa are spelled out in the Constitution. And I will tell you one thing. Whenever we first started learning law, and I was told by Mr. Alan Oduor, who is my lecturer for the same course, constitutional law, he said that a good lawyer is not a lawyer who knows the law. It is a lawyer who knows where to find the law. The aims and objectives of the leadership of a chairperson are provided in the Constitution, and generally, to spell it out, is that it says that they want to provide good leadership, governing leadership.
Thank you. And maybe just before we continue with you, Mr. Oluoch, I'd like to have some 1 on 2 with your vice. And maybe, I don't think whether you said your name, you can say it for the record.
Okay,
and
thank
the
you.
coalition you're coming from, or the coalition you represent.
Are coalitions really recognized by the Constitution?
Is there any problem with my question?
Yes, there's a problem.
Do you have one? Do you have a coalition?
Yes, we have a coalition.
What's the name of a coalition?
The coalition of that we are in.
And the question was not directed to you; it was directed to your vice.
Thank
the
you.
Importance of forming coalition if they are not recognized. Why then did you form the coalition, Mr. Oluoch, if they are not recognized? Is there any sense of forming them? Then give her the microphone and answer my question.
Thank you very much.
The coalition you represent, your name for the record?
Wekesa Nasimiu Anna from the Faculty of Business, a third year student taking BCom, Bachelor of Commerce Accounting option.
Coalition?
I'm from the Action Alliance Coalition.
Was that hard, Mr. Oluoch? Okay, was it hard to say? Thank you. Anna Wekesa, we are in Chuka University and we have corporate colors. Do you know any of them? At least 3?
Kindly pardon?
Corporate colors of Chuka University as the institution?
Corporate colors?
Yes.
We have gray.
Wow.
Red.
You said red?
Red.
Yes.
Sky blue.
Yes.
And white.
Would you mind if telling me what a red means or represents as far as Chuka University is concerned? Red as a color. Does it represent anything?
Kindly pass.
Thank you. Your chair can help you. Red as a corporate color. Chuka University.
On the question about colors, that is something that I would really not like to answer, because it is not in a profound or any way going to ascertain
it is a
whatever
yes
we're going
or no.
to
You know,
be.
Mr. Oluoch, I believe in truth. And
Yes.
we started by saying integrity. You know, if you, by any chance, you're missing something, it is very... Imagine representing an organization that you truly don't understand the color and you don't understand who they represent. We are Kenyans. We know our flag very well and we know what it represents. Is it so hard to say what red represents? It is very easy to say like your vice and we move on.
Yes, the most courteous way that we use in court to say
We're
that
not in court, Mr. Oluoch. It is yes to say the meaning or the what red represents, or allow us to move to another question.
the most courteous way we say I don't want to answer a question in court is that I stand guided.
You don't understand. So red means a torch or education is light. As simple as that. I believe now you know. I may give my fellow panelists to continue.
So to Anna, how will you handle conflicts and disagreements in case they appear and you have been appointed or you've passed and you're in the Cusa, and you're in Cusa, yeah.
Okay, when you say disagreements, right?
Yeah.
Okay, disagreement between who and who?
In your team, yeah, in your team. And maybe your colleague can tell us in the school and the students.
Okay, the simplest way of handling a disagreement in my team, it's just sitting them down and talking things out.
Okay. What if they do not appear like they've done? We called for a debate yesterday and today. I'm sure you have your other colleagues who are supposed to appear yesterday and who are supposed to be beside you right now, isn't it? What if they do not appear? What do you do?
Okay, being that they will be my teammates, there is a way that we have that personal relation between them. So the easiest way it will be talking to them before I organize for that meeting and talking things out.
Mr. Chair, I think the same question can be so good to you. Where are your other members? This is your team you are leading.
Yes,
Where are your other members?
my other members.
That is fellow, the governing council. You are not two. You're supposed to be 7.
Of course.
Where are the others? You are
Yes.
the team leader.
Yes, I'm a team leader, of course, but you know, while you are inviting us for a debate, it is something of one's personal capacity.
No.
And you know very well it's
Have you went
voluntary.
through the memo or the program?
Yes, you're not getting my point.
Yes.
When you're inviting someone for a debate, it is for one person to decide in their own personal capacity whether they are going to turn up.
Okay, thank you. Do you believe in teamwork?
Of course, I believe in teamwork. Of course,
Yeah.
I believe in teamwork. But whenever you are calling us for a debate, you are not calling us as a team. The aspect of teamwork is what we need when we are campaigning out there. But the aspect of teamwork, I don't think that it would be really logical for you to bring it up here in the room.
Take it as now you've already passed as an example, of course, then you're already in office. How will you promote teamwork?
When you what? Can you pardon me, please?
You've already passed the elections, you
Yes.
are the lucky candidate by any chance, and you're already now in office. How will you promote teamwork in your team?
If I'm the lucky candidate and they don't pass?
I think you're not getting my question right. If you're the lucky candidate
Yes.
and you're already in office,
Yes.
how will you promote teamwork?
How will I promote teamwork? That is clearly stipulated in our constitution. Each and every person has their duties. And one of the responsibility of the chairman, as stipulated in Article 16 of the Cusa Constitution, is that he has an overall obligation to lead each and every organ of Chuka University Student Association. So whenever he has that obligation to lead each and every organ, then I believe he has to come up with a way to at least make sure there is an interrelationship between each and every organ of the association.
Well, we're still on the same. As far as I understand, when the students are participating in elections, they go and they usually go to elect the student congress members, isn't it? And the student congress members are the ones who appoint the governing council. But how would you feel? How would you feel? And how would you feel? The student congress has already been appointed, and they're supposed to appoint you guys, but they do not appear. Yet they are in your team. That is the kind of situation we're having here, and that is where the teamwork comes in. Okay?
Yes.
Yes. So what?
So you have answered the question. She has answered the question.
Answered.
She has told me why the aspect of teamwork comes is to make sure that the people we have, the delegates, vote for us. I believe that is right.
It's okay, Mr. Oluoch. What happens if your delegates, I believe you have them, they don't show up during the day?
You understand quite well that an election is a democratic process. So if someone does not show up, that means they do not want to vote for me.
Thank you.
I've not finished answering the question, please. If they do not show up to vote on their own personal reasons, then that is okay. But in case the delegates do not, because of someone else's interferences with them, then that is where we can hold them accountable for that.
Thank you. What happens in an event, Mr. Oluoch, that you are not lucky, maybe you don't pass? That is on Thursday this week.
Of course, life has wins and life has fails. I won. I became the president in primary. I became the president in high school. I'm here again to contest for the presidency in the university. I believe I'm learning a lot in politics, and that is enough to say
you are president in primary?
Yes, of course.
Wow, congratulations. You are president in high school?
Yes, of course.
Congratulations. And then you are answering the question, what happens in an event that you lose?
Yes. Yeah. In an event, would obviously accept if this is credible. But in case there are certain irregularities that have been propelled by the Cusa Electoral Commission, then I would not hear to petition.
Now that you've mentioned you have been in leadership before, can you describe your leadership experience and how it has prepared you for this role?
Yes, my leadership experience, I would like to take you through. First of all, when I was young, in primary school, I believe it was at a time when we introduced a certain leadership system where we could elect senators, governors, MPs for schools. If anyone is young like me would remember certain type of posts were propelled by the government. So I got to serve as a senator first while I was in class 7. Then I got an opportunity to vie for the president of the school, or the head student, or maybe the head boy as we used to call it, for the school. And there are a lot of things that I did as a head boy. We were in a very village schools, and there are certain things that I helped the students. One of them is that I was approached by an organization that used to give people shoes. And that is when I had to consult with the students and know who are the needy ones and we need to assist them. Those were the little things that changed the lives of people while I was in primary. Then with the same dream, I went on to high school. In high school, the most important post that I held was the head student of the school. And the reason why I've been a fan of Constitution, it was because we were the first high school to ever have a constitution for student leadership. That was the biggest legacy that I left in that school. And I was also able to represent our school in the head students forum that was held at State House, whereby I emerged number 3.
Okay. So what do you consider your strengths and weaknesses as a leader?
I have a lot of strengths, and one of them that I've been talking about right now is that leadership needs character. I am a person who is relentless. And I am not a rebel in the sense that you would see me, but I am a person who wants to command respect from you by showing you certain ways you are supposed to do. I'm not going to say I'm not going to do something because I'm a rebel, but I'm saying I'm not going to do something because of certain reasons, and that is my stand because you need to respect it. So that is my biggest strength as a leader. I champion for things and I fight for them if it is right. I don't have any weaknesses, but I'd leave you to see if I have any weaknesses.
At what time was this debate supposed to start, Mr. Oluoch?
Yes, the debate that was supposed to start, in the memo, we were not supposed to start with the chairman.
At what time? I say time.
We were supposed to start at 3.
At what time did you come?
I came here at 4.
Can that be prescribed as a weakness?
That is not a weakness.
Do you believe in timekeeping?
I believe so much in timekeeping.
Did you do it by any chance?
I believe I gave you the simplest and easiest way for you to finish with
But
other candidates so that I can come in.
But we were the moderators, Mr. Oluch, and we expected you to be here by 3. I believe you answer yourself on that. And by any chance, once again, if you're lucky, please perform. And I believe, as you've said, that timekeeping will be part of you. You can pass the mic to your vice. And Wekesa. And I think this is something your chair had already said. And you guys, the two of you, by any chance, maybe you'll be the mirror of Chuka. And Chuka is large. How many branches, campuses do Chuka University, as the main campus, have?
I know of 3.
1.
Embu,
Yes.
Chogoria, and Nairobi.
The other one? Thank you. So you are seated there for the virtue of the 2/3 gender rule or the gender way. And maybe, Madam Anna Wekesa, what is your view as far as gender or the 2/3 gender rule is concerned?
Okay. According to me, it's a good thing. Unfortunately, we are not here, the whole governing council, but in our governing council, we have 3 ladies and 4 men. I think that answers
okay
you
with
well.
you?
Yeah, it's okay with me.
Okay, the view, genderly, not just in Chuka, but your view as far as gender is concerned. And what about this thing to do with, imagine you are in an organization and we have 2 men. This is an organization or a committee. And it's a committee of 7 members, and men are just 2. The other number is ladies. Will you be comfortable with that?
No, I will not be
Why
comfortable.
not?
Because the men are less,
Yeah.
it will not be balanced.
Thank you. Thank you. Who's the first Vice Chancellor of Chuka when it was chartered? And so far, how many Vice Chancellors have we had since the time up to now?
I know of Professor Erastus Njoka,
Yes.
and the acting Professor Dorcas Isuza.
Thank you very much, Madam Anna Wekesa.
So maybe as we wind up, you can tell us how you will balance your studies and responsibilities as a leader, both of you.
Okay. How I'll balance my studies with the work? It's just simply creating time. When I'll miss classes, I'll have to read again. I won't miss meetings because of this.
Well, thank you. Pass the microphone as we conclude. Mr. Oluoch, Chuka University, as for many years, has a good relationship within the members within, that is the community. We have business people around, we have landladies and landlords. Under your capacity as the chair, how are you going to strengthen this relationship between students, lecturers, and the community at large?
Of course, it's true. You have said it very well. And the universities always have a responsibility to build the community. It is something that is even set out in the Universities Act. So the community that we are having between us, there are certain things that as a university we can help them, either through the research that we have, either through the funds that we have, or any development project as a university that we can champion for. So the only thing as a leader in my own capacity that I can do is maybe address this for them and maybe champion for them in the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Luj. And finalizing, you may pass the microphone, but this question comes to both of you as we conclude once again. Meru University introduced something to do with the dressing code. Do you believe, or under your capacity in your leadership, if you will be lucky, introduce the same, or do you support dressing code? Anything to do with dressing code? How should students dress? They said they banned miniskirts and dreadlocks, short skirts and all that. What if that happens to be Chuka University? Will you be in support of that?
Okay. To some extent I support, to some extent I don't.
Which extent is your support? One of it?
It's 50-50.
The first 50? Why do you support?
I support because we need to have a specific dressing code. Things like ragged, miniskirts need to be done away with.
So if a student comes in Chuka University or in a class, assume, and the lecturer chases this student away from class, and the student comes to your office, tells you, Madam, just have a ragged jeans, and I have paid fees and I cannot continue with my studies. Will you take that particular student, or will you make any effort to ensure that this particular student continues with the classes, maybe? Or at your capacity, you don't 100% support ragged jeans or that in particular?
Okay, I said 50-50.
Yes.
So in that, with your example, if it's among the school laws, then she just have to miss the class because it's in the law. But if it's not, then she'll go back to class.
The remaining 50?
Okay, the remaining 50, things like dreadlocks, it's okay for someone to have them.
Another one?
Another one, you said miniskirts, ragged.
Miniskirts?
Miniskirts, I said in the other 50.
It's a no.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Luch. The same question.
Answering the same question.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, on the part of how we are supposed to be dressed, and I'm someone who is, as I said before, who's driven by the law. The Constitution of Kenya is the supreme law from which all other laws and codes of conduct are derived from. So, while we are saying that we are going to be prohibiting certain dress codes, as long as these codes of conduct infringe on the Bill of Rights as set out in the Constitution, then we do not need to have them. That is the reason why we had a case whereby the government had to give compensation to a certain individual who was locked out of a job offer just because of the dreadlocks. As long as these laws infringe on your laws that are provided in the Constitution, then we cannot have them. If a certain freedom is going to be infringed because of the way you dress, then why should it be there? That is something that should be struck out. You should not be telling students they are supposed to be dressing in a certain ways if it's infringing their rights and freedoms. So I cannot support such kind of code of conduct to tell me that students are not supposed to be putting miniskirts, are not supposed to be putting dreadlocks. That is absurd.
You have a different idea from your vice. And
Yes, it's not a different idea. I have a stand.
you have a stand.
Yes.
Do you believe in ideology, in organization with ideology? Maybe Democrats.
I do not believe in ideology. I'm a realist.
Yeah.
So I do not believe in ideology.
So in that you stay aside from your vice.
It's not that we stay aside.
You don't side with her on that particular point. Not all of them.
On that particular point, I do not side with her. It's true. I do not
But
stand.
if such a kind of point, not that necessarily comes, and it needs your agreement and your vice chair agreement, and you already in the board, and both of you disagree. As you've already disagreed on the same point, Mr. Rouge.
Yes, you just have to back up your reason. And the reason why I'm backing up, the reason for you not to instill such kind of code of conduct is because they're infringing certain rights. So if my vice chair has a certain reasons why she would support it, then she should also tell it to me so that we can weigh the factors and say, yes, this is what we are going to go with because of certain reasons. So there has to be just certain reasons. But us disagreeing on a certain point is not something of a big deal because we always arrive at a decision.
Maybe as I hand over to my fellow panelists, I believe you are still in Kenya and you've been in Kenya. The relationship with, I can use the example of the president, the former president and the current president, when he was the deputy and the president. Their relationship, especially when we were approaching 2022, it was not kind as that. What happens if that happens between you and your vice and that cripples the functioning and performance of Cusa? Can you step down? Or can you step down, both of you, for the better and the interest of Chuka University students? I've drawn an example of the former president and the current president of the Republic of Kenya.
I believe someone cannot step down because of that. The problem why we had with the deputy president and the president of Kenya, those were just political interest. It was not even just about their relationship together and working. It was because of political interest that they had in the next upcoming general election. Both of them wanted something. So whenever you're talking about our relationship being sabotaged or going in the wrong way, we do not have any political interest in the upcoming election. That is the first thing. And the best way to solve certain things is something that we call ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution. In case we are having disputes between me and my vice chair, then I'd have to call a third party through ADR so that we can solve certain issues. But stepping down, that is very illogical because of our personal relationship. That cannot happen, but that is what I say.
Okay. Mr. Oluoch, are you familiar with the Cusa official website?
I am familiar with the website. I believe I visit it frequently.
Is it functional?
Of course it's functional.
No, it's not.
It's functional the last time I was there.
When was the last time?
I was there about 3 weeks ago, yes. While I was taking my fee statement.
3 weeks ago?
Yes, about 3 weeks
ago. You are on record, Mr. Oluoch, and anything you speak is held responsible. Is the domain working? Has the domain been updated? Because any site that you visit, the domain must be working. If right now I take my phone and check, because you can see the history and everything, can it really show that you were there 3 weeks ago and Cusa website is working? Please just be truthful.
What do you mean by Cusa website is not working if I can visit the website itself?
You are visiting the website?
Yes, I have visited
the website right away.
Yes, I can visit
it's working
now. It's working.
If a student is far away from at Mombasa right at the moment, because we are going to confirm it, and remember, we want to be leaders of integrity, as chapter 6 puts it clear. If it isn't working or not working, how are you going to ensure that it is stabilized? Because as we are speaking from evidence. It is not stable. That means it's not working.
Yes, I believe there is something that you're confusing between the website and the portal. You know,
have I mentioned a portal anywhere? Have you heard from my conversation a portal?
Yes, that is why I'm saying a website and a web portal is
that different.
The website is working.
The website is working?
Yes.
It's okay. Have you ever lied in your leadership since primary, as you were president, high school and a president?
I have never lied, but I've always said something in my campaigns.
Thank you, Mr. Oluoch. I may hand over the microphone to my fellow panelists to say something.
Maybe the final question, how will you ensure that the relationship between the students and the PELT is cordial and is a good relationship?
The relationship between students and the PELT is on a two different merge. As a student leader, I'm only representing the issues that concerns the students according to the security. If there is something wrong that has happened to the students that involve the security, that is when I'm supposed to be protecting the students. But in case of anything to do with security, I believe that's an obligation that is just left to the security department. But if there's anything that the security has forgone in doing its duties, that is when I can come in and step in as a leader.
Thank you, Mr. Oluoch. It has been amazing, and I thank you for setting your time, and Ms. Anne Wekesa for setting your time. We're very happy for you for attending this debate. We wish you all the best from me as Jackson Chacha. I truly wish you all the best.
Yes, thank you once again for your time and for taking your time to be with us here. I wish you all the best. I've been Wangeri Njeri. Thank you.
And now the other members, we can have a word of prayer from the first thing you said as we hang it up.
continue with our elections. Lord, we pray that all may be successful as Chuka University. We pray for peace until the end. God, may you drive and guide us all. And in Jesus' name I do pray and believe.
Thank you. I believe we don't have another candidate.